One moment,
Yes.
please, approach my staff.
What happens when you miss a flight connection with Singapore Airlines? Unfortunately, I did it, so now you can find out. Why did we miss the flight? Well, our flight from Kuala Lumpur to Singapore was delayed by 1 hour, and we only arrived at Changi 20 minutes before our next flight departed. We were met at the end of the jet bridge and advised that because of the time taken to transfer the luggage, they had already closed the next flight. Well, you may think, they'll just put you on the next one. But there were complications, so that wasn't the end of the story. We were immediately presented with new boarding passes for the next departure at 11:25 p.m, some 13 hours in the future. At the same time, they gave us hotel vouchers for the Amara Hotel and details on how to get there and how the taxi fares would be paid by Singapore Airlines. So, what was this complication? Well, still stood at the end of the jet bridge, we explained to the supervisor that we had a connection in Frankfurt that was booked on a separate ticket to take us to Heathrow. As a result of the initial delay and of the changes that they had offered to us, we were now going to miss this flight with Lufthansa. So the supervisor at the gate said, well, maybe we can send you direct to London from here. She made a call to the transfer desk, telling them to expect us, and then she sent us on our way. So we made our way to transfer desk A, and we spent about an hour getting things sorted out there. Sometimes stood at the desk, and sometimes sat while the lady, who was very helpful, made calls on our behalf. She immediately understood our problem, and she checked the schedule that we had with Lufthansa. She said her first aim was to try to get us on a direct flight to London with Singapore Airlines, and one was leaving in an hour's time. After many calls, she advised that there was space on the London flight, but to get us on it, we would have to pay. This was because the Lufthansa flight was on a separate ticket and it was in economy. The price per person would be £500. During the time at the desk, I had already checked online to see about getting the Lufthansa flight changed or buying a new ticket to meet our new arrival time, and the cost was going to be about £530 per person. This was so expensive because of the short notice, and it was just before New Year. As a result, I had it in my head that we were going to have to pay something. After much toing and froing, the option of that London flight, direct on an A380 in an hour's time, was just too good to pass up. So I went back to the desk and I said, okay, we'll pay the £500. No sooner had she made the call to change the ticket that I could see that something was wrong. It was a long conversation that she had, but at the end of it, she said to us, it's just not going to be possible to get you direct to London. I think what happened next was as a result of the fact that I had agreed to her suggestion, the £500 per person, and that had turned out not to be possible. I think that was the reason why she persevered. So she turned her attention to the Lufthansa flight. She made another call, asked for our e-ticket numbers, thankfully I had them, and with what seemed like a few strokes of the keyboard, she changed the Lufthansa flight for us. Not only that, she rerouted our bags, meaning they would be checked through to London. So when we got to Frankfurt, we didn't have to go through any of the procedures that we were expecting to, having purchased a separate ticket. Now, Singapore Airlines could have told us that it was our problem to change the Lufthansa flight. And let's face it, it was. However, it wasn't our fault that we'd been delayed. But thanks to the dedication of the lady at the transfer desk, we ended up arriving home only slightly later than expected, and for no extra cost. I feel very lucky with the way that this turned out. I certainly shan't be booking a short connection ever again. However, Singapore Airlines dealt with this with great professionalism, and we felt extremely looked after throughout the process. So I'm very grateful to them, and it's cemented the fact that I'll be flying with them again in future. What do you think about the way this was handled? Have you had a similar situation? Did that work out for you? I'd appreciate you letting me know in the comments section. In addition, to see more flight reviews in the future, please press the subscribe button. For now though, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.